Well, as I said, we are partway through a sermon series on finances. Actually, today is the last in our Make It Rain series. And so I explained the idea of making it rain. For those who maybe weren't here for the past few weeks or don't know, I took the idea of making it rain from, that sort of club culture where you go into a club and you just, you've got so much money that you're just throwing it around, you make it rain. And I said every week that's not financially, not fiscally responsible. I don't think anyone should do that. But at the same time, I would love to be in a position to do it. I would love to be able to just walk into a place and be like, it's on me. I've got it covered. And so we're talking about finances. We're talking about making it rain. And last week I talked more about believing in a God who makes it rain literally and figuratively, and putting all our faith in Him. And I've had to say every week as well that when it comes to finances, it's not an area that I feel particularly confident in. And so sometimes when I hit an area I'm not confident in, I will lean heavily on another church or message series. And as I've said every week, I want to thank Life.Church, mega church down in the States that has put together this message. And what's great about them is they say, you know what, everything's free. We want you to use it. So if you find something that we do that's good, feel free to use it. So a lot of times our kids ministry or our youth ministry uses stuff from Life.Church. But I am very much in debt to. Shouldn't be in debt, right? After the finances series. But I'm indebted to Craig Rochelle and Life.Church for this sermon series. So before it comes up on screen, I want to test you guys. Can you guys tell me what the 4 big ideas were for this sermon series? Less is more. Stress is bad. Giving is good. More matters. Well done. It works, right? This idea that you're going to get it ingrained in your head over and over again. We're going to do it again today. But before we do, less is more. We talked about the idea of it better is 1 handful with tranquility than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. Just constantly striving and never being able to fulfill that need. Stress is bad. I mean, that's a bit of a no-brainer. Financial stress is bad. You do not want to be a slave to the lender, borrower is slave to the lender. Last week we talked about giving is good. It is better to give than it is to receive. And today we're going to talk about tomorrow matters. But once more, just so it's completely ingrained in your head, so that years from now you'll say, what were those 4 ideas? Repeat after me. Less is more. Stress is bad. Giving is good. Tomorrow matters. Once more on your own. You don't have to do it anymore. Isn't that good? I want to show you a video real quick. Some of you may have seen this before, but to me, when I thought about this idea of delayed gratification, this video just came to mind.
Okay, sit in that chair. All right, here's the deal. Marshmallow, for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one, so then you'll have 2. But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right. I'm gonna go do something and then I'll come back.
It smells yummy. It smells really good.
All right, so it's up to you. You can have it now or you can wait. Okay? I'll be back. Stay in the chair, okay? Okay. right, so I'm gonna leave and then I'll come back, okay? So you can either eat it right now or you can wait. Either way, okay? Okay. How'd you do? Did you do good? You did?
Yeah.
You wanted to eat it, didn't you? Yeah. So did I tell you to give you another one? Okay, now you can have both. You need them.
I love that one girl, just while she's still in the room. No, I'm going for it now. Because I don't know, that's kind of me sometimes, And I know it's not just me. I know that it's a lot of us. We've all been spoiled with this idea of now. Like, delayed gratification is a bit of a swear word for us, right? Like, everything, you want it, and you want it now. And I'm going to perhaps offend some of you by saying that this is especially true with the younger generation, all right? Because you didn't grow up with some of the same things that we grew up with. I'm a bit of the middle of the church right now. There's a number of people who are older, a number of people who are younger, but I'm kind of got a foot in both camps. Some of you may not have known what it was like to have to leave a message on an answer machine. Some of you don't even know what it was like before the answer machines, where you had to you're looking to get together with your friend and you call them and there's just no answer and you have no idea if they're home or if they'll ever be home or, well, when do I keep calling back? And now you've got instant text, right? Just, you there? And even that's not quick enough for some people, right? Like, you there, and sending text after text after text. When we were kids, our TV shows would come up, and when it was over, you had to wait a whole week for the next one. So especially if it ended on like a cliffhanger, some of you have to deal with that now if you're watching TV and it's like the end of the season, but how many of us just binge watch everything, right? You wait for a series to be completely done and then just sit there and watch, all 7 episodes back to back while your beard grows long. This one's funny. Who grew up with the Sears catalog? All right. Christmas time would come around, and this is what we would do, and we would take turns. It was annoying because, your brother would sit there and he would, circle all the things that he wanted. You'd be like, okay, I want it. I want to get it now. I want to get the calendar or catalog now so I can circle it so that, my parents can send away for whatever it is to buy. How many of you have Amazon Prime? Okay, who here has heard of Amazon Key? All right, Amazon Key is even a step which is even crazier to me, where I haven't even fully explored it yet, but you give them a key for your house, so the Amazon person can come and unlock your door. Like, isn't that insane? Like, you're not willing to wait even that long. I want it the moment I possibly can have it. We have been so conditioned to the idea of now that it is difficult to think about tomorrow, right? Just like those kids in the video, I just want that thing right now, and you're going to double your marshmallow possibilities if you just wait a little bit. But some of them just couldn't do it. Like the one girl who was like nibbling and like, yeah, that looks good. They won't notice that that's like half gone. And we see this in so many areas. We see this with relationships. You're not willing to wait. We see this with the way we take care, or rather don't take care of our bodies. You just want it now. You're not willing to wait. But one area that so many of us struggle with this is with our finances. I've found out that 76% are living paycheck to paycheck. So look down your row. If there are 8 people in your row, that means 6 of you are living paycheck to paycheck. It means that if you lost your job today, you would not be able to pay your mortgage this month or your rent. You can start pointing and counting. I don't know if you want to do that, but thing is, most of us do not have to live that way. I understand that that's probably just even that much is good. But for most of us, we don't have to live that way. But we have a today-centered mindset. Everything has to be now. And as a result, we're not living it in a wise way. We're not being wise with our finances. So we've said, less is more, stress is bad, giving is good, and tomorrow matters. When we recognize that tomorrow matters, it will change the way we live today. When we recognize that tomorrow matters, it should change the way we live today and how we handle money today. There's a number of verses we're going to look at today. First one, Proverbs 21, verse 20. It says, the wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. The wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. And so when it comes to Proverbs, you have to understand these two ideas are related. It's not just wise people happen to be rich. No, they are rich. They are wealthy and living a life of luxury because they are wise. They're not doing the same thing that the fool does, which is spending everything they get. I mean, that's living paycheck to paycheck. And that's not just slugger. Not just buying the things you need, but buying the things you want. Saying, I gotta have it now. Proverbs 6, verse 6 to 8 says, go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. I love that word, sluggard. That's a great word. I mean, basically it just means someone who's lazy, but the term sluggard, particularly when it's balanced against the ant, just really communicates something, doesn't it? We used to live in British Columbia, and they had these slugs that were literally like that big on the ground, and they were just these nasty looking things. I think they called banana slugs. But you'd see that, and it would just slowly walk across the path, just dragging itself. Whereas you see the ants, I heard a comedian talking about the ants and how crazy it is that, you could knock over their anthill, and right away, immediately, they start going right back to rebuilding it. He's saying, you got to think there'd be at least a few ants who'd be like, forget it. I'm not doing that again. I worked so hard last time. The guy's standing right there. He's just going to knock it over again. But the ants are just industrious. I mean, when I was a teenager, I had an ant farm, which my mother would not allow inside the house. But it's cool. I mean, maybe it wasn't cool. Maybe I was a geek. But it really is interesting to see how they build their little tunnels. And it's just, there's something about the ant where they are industrious. And Solomon is saying, check out the ant. Be like them. Do what you need to do. There's no one making them do it. They just do it naturally. It stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. It takes the opportunity when it can to save because it knows somehow, God has told it that it's going to need it later. The ant knows that tomorrow matters. Jesus talked to us about this idea in Matthew 25. This is sometimes called the parable of the talents. So the story, for those of you who may not know it, is a ruler, a rich man, calls together 3 of his servants. And he says, I'm going away for a time, and I want you to look after some of my finances. And so one guy, he gives 5 bags of gold, or 5 talents. Another one, he gives 3. To the last one, he gives 1. To which I might be thinking to myself, that's a little bit unfair. How come he's doing that? We have to understand, if we put ourselves in, or put God in the master's shoes, he recognizes that different people have different abilities. So this isn't about how much you have. This is more a parable about how well you use what you have. And so the man goes away, and the man with 5 bags invests it, and he gets another 5. The one with 3 does the same thing. And so the man comes back, and he's finding out from his servants what's happening. And first guy says, "Hey, I doubled it." And he says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Second one does the same. "I doubled it. Well done, good and faithful servant." The third one comes up and says, I was kind of scared about what you would say if I lost your money. So what I did is I dug a hole in the ground and I kept it safe." And he brings him the bag and he says, here's everything you gave me, right back, every last penny. And the master does not say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." He actually calls him a wicked and lazy servant. Not just lazy, but wicked and lazy. We have to understand that in this message, this isn't talking about just finances. This is talking about everything that God has given us. And God is saying, I want you to invest what I've given you. Everything, whether it's your finances, whether it's your children, whether it is your gifts I've given you, your talents, your abilities, everything I've given you, I want you to use it to further my kingdom. And if all you do is just bury it in the ground, it's not just lazy, it's actually wicked. It's God's way of saying, I trusted you with something, and you were not trustworthy with it. And yet to the other ones, he said, I trusted you with a little, and now I'm going to trust you with more. And so he takes what the 1 talent and gives it to the guy with the 5. But our message from that is, if we don't use what God has given us for his kingdom, it's not just a matter of being lazy, it's actually a matter of being wicked. There are 2 thoughts on ways to make money. The first is obvious, the second one's not quite as obvious. The first one is the idea of people making money. So that's what most of us would understand when we say, I want to earn some money. This is the kid who's making a lemonade stand. This is most of us who go to work. We work a certain number of hours. We have an agreement. They give us a paycheck. I give to you, you give back to me. So that's people making money. You have a talent or an ability. You put in 40 hours a week, whatever it is, you earn a paycheck. But the second one is money making money. And most people never think about this idea, about your money making money. And this is what happened in the parable. Matthew 25, verse 16 says, the man who had received 5 bags of gold went out at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So when God trusts you with something, you have a decision to make. No matter what it is God trusts you with, when God trusts you with something, you have a decision to make. The guy who with 1 bag had a decision to make, the guy with 5 bags had a decision to make. The first thing is you can spend everything you have. Living paycheck to paycheck. Spend everything you have, and then it's all gone. The second way you can use what God's given you is you can spend some, you can give some, and you can invest some. If you invest wisely, you might multiply it, and God might say to you, you've been faithful with a little, and I'm going to give you more. I know that I can trust you with more. So the question that comes to us is we have to ask, how do we maximize what we have today so that we can change tomorrow? How do we take what God has given us today and use it wisely so that we can change what happens tomorrow? Because we know that tomorrow matters, and when we know that tomorrow matters, it will change what we do today. What do we do today to make sure that it will change tomorrow? So we're going to talk a little bit about investing. And you might be thinking, you know what, I don't know anything about investing. And if you're saying that about me, you're mostly right. I really don't know much about investing. So again, this is one of the reasons why I have leaned on someone else on this idea, and why I'm following someone else's sermon series ideas. I'm partway right now through reading something called The Wealthy Barber. Has anyone read The Wealthy Barber? Yeah. So this is something Kathy's been asking me to read for a while, and I finally got around to reading it, and it's really good. If you haven't read it, I would recommend it. He talks a little bit about investing in that. So I am not an investing specialist. Okay, I would say you do not want my advice on this, but you do want someone's advice. So that's all I would say is that if you are thinking about investing, talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. What I do know about a little bit is the Bible, and there are some biblical principles that we all need to apply when it comes to investing. And so that's what I'm going to share with you this morning. I'm not going to give you some tips on some stock that's going to make your day, but I will give you some tips from the Bible that hopefully will make your life. 3 thoughts, 3 principles, and really these are 3 don'ts. Okay, these are things not to do. Number 1, don't invest in things you don't understand. Don't invest in something you do not understand. It may be tempting. You may see someone else who's making lots of money in a certain area. You may say, you know what, it looks really good from the outside, but if you can't understand it, don't get involved with it. When it comes to investing, it's just a dangerous, scary thing to do. More than scary. Like I said, it is dangerous. Proverbs 24, verse 3 and 4 says, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge, its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. I really like this idea about it being referred to as a house. We have to understand that it's not just the house he's talking about, right? It's our lives. But just like our lives are built this way, a house is built the same way. Understanding and knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Those are the 3 things that we really need to focus on. And when it comes to something like investing, you need to make sure you fully understand. You need to have wisdom to know what to do. You need to have understanding on the thing you're investing in and knowledge about it so that you can, like it says, fill your rooms with rare and beautiful treasures. When I was first married, Kathy and I, we lived in a basement apartment, and there was a small drip under the sink, just a constant little drip, and it was totally rotten underneath there. And Kathy showed me, and I looked at it and was like, yeah, that's a shame nothing can be done about that. Because I had no clue what to do. for some of you, maybe like, how would you not know what to do? I didn't know what to do. You know, I never owned a house before. I never had any experience with home renovations. There was no trading spaces or anything on TV at that time, so I wouldn't be able to understand what to do. And so I just looked at it and be like, I was paralyzed. I'm like, I have no clue what you're supposed to do about that. For all I knew, that was just going to continue dripping until it made its way to China. Like, it was just, I don't know what to do about that. Kathy's dad came over for a visit, and I showed him. I'm like, look at this. And he's like, oh yeah, we can take care of that. And he showed me what to do. You know, he gave me a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of understanding. And then he bought me some tools, and he taught me a little bit more. And then this beautiful thing called the internet came along, with YouTube videos of people showing you how to do things. And so now I know how to, you know, change a toilet. I know how to stud a wall. Yesterday, I studded a wall by myself and wired it electrically. The house may be burning right now, but you know, I think we're okay. You can gain a little bit of knowledge in this area. You can gain some understanding, and with wisdom, your house can be built, literally and figuratively. As I was thinking about this, one of the first things that came to my mind, does anyone remember Brex? Brex, okay. Just before we were married, I remember seeing this in the news. This goes back to like 1997, maybe a little bit before that. There was this stock that was on the rise called Brex, and it was gold. And they found gold in Indonesia, and this was big in Canada, I think, because Canada got the mining contract for it. And they discovered it was like so much gold. I don't remember how much it was, but they did like a little test sample, and they couldn't believe the amount of gold that they had in there. And so the stocks were just going through the roof. And like this is, I think, the Brex shares going up. And they found out, oh, there's more, and there's more, and there's more. And people got so excited about it. People invested in it without fully understanding it, without really having any wisdom, without having any knowledge of this area. And people put tons of money into it. And like seemingly overnight, the stock was worth $4.4 billion at its height. That was, at one point in 1997, it was worth $4.4 billion. In November of 1997, the company was completely bankrupt because they found out that there was no gold, or at least very little gold. That core sampling, they actually took gold from jewelry and shaved it off and put it in there so it would look like more. And they basically, it was just this big fraud. And people who invested without fully understanding, without understanding it, ended up losing a lot of money because of it. So if you can't explain it, don't do it. If you don't understand it, don't get involved. Sometimes the best investments you make are the ones you don't make. Sometimes the best investments are the ones you don't make. So don't invest in things you don't understand. Number 2, don't put all your eggs in one basket. All right? How many people's moms told them this? Moms are smart, aren't they? Your mom taught you that. The Bible teaches you that as well. Ecclesiastes 11 verse 12 says, "But divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risks might lie ahead." It's basically just saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket because that basket might fall. Don't put all your money in Brex because it might turn out that there's actually no gold in that. Spread your investments out. Diversify your portfolio is what it's sometimes referred to. I've heard it said that investing money is, think like manure. All right? This might be kind of gross for you, but you put it all in one big pile, all it's going to do is just stink, and it doesn't do much. But you spread it around, and eventually things start to grow. All right? So don't invest in something you don't understand. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And the third idea, don't try to get rich quick. And this is so tempting for us, isn't it? I mean, this is what you want. This is what the foolish part of us wants. To just say, okay, I don't want to put any work in. I just want to be like that. All right? I want to have a genie that answers my wish, and I become rich overnight. But don't do it. 1 Timothy 6, verse 9 to 10 says, "Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction." When all you care about is getting rich, you're going to be desperate. You're going to be starting to think, not think things through. Just be like, that might work, and you jump into it. And that's where you run into trouble. You don't make wise decisions. You just want it to happen right now. It continues on. It says, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And some people, craving money, have wandered from the true faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows." This verse is actually often mistranslated. A lot of times people misquote this, and they say, "The love of money is the root of all evil." Well, that's not what it says. They'll often say money is the root of all evil, but it's the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Okay? It's not that money is bad. Money's not a bad thing, of course. You can do a lot of good things with money, but it's the love of money. It's only caring about getting rich. And it's the root of all kinds of evil. All kinds of things can cause you trouble. We stop pursuing Jesus when we only care about getting rich. So don't let that happen to you. When something looks too good to be true, it probably is. Okay, don't try to get rich quick. Investments aren't about sprinting. Investments are about a marathon. You get in and you stay in it for the long haul. Proverbs 13 verse 11 says, "Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." Okay, so like I said, wealth is not a bad thing. Money is not a bad thing. When you use it to do good things, it can be a great thing. It's easier to do good when you have something to do good with than being broke and not being able to help out. Life.Church came up with a formula. Money plus consistency plus time equals wealth. Okay, a little bit by a little bit by a little bit over a long haul, it makes a big difference. A little bit consistently over a long time equals wealth. They use the 10-10-80 rule. Okay, 10% to God, we talked about it last week, trust God with the tithe, 10% savings, and then 80% to live on. So just a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, just 10% each time, and eventually that's going to grow really quick. As I'm reading The Wealthy Barber, I'm reading about this thing called the compound effect, which I already knew a little bit about, but it was interesting. I kind of tested my kids on this, and I asked them the question. You guys may have heard this before. Would you rather have $1 million today, or would you rather have a penny that doubles every day for 30 days? Any ideas? Penny doubled, right? It seems crazy, doesn't it? Especially about the middle of the month. If you were to do this every day for a month, because you're still only at like $100 or $500, I forget what it is. I actually wrote it all down to show my kids how it works. But that compounding, doubling, and doubling the double, and double, triple, and double. Eventually, after 30 days, you end up with $5.3 million. The break-even point, I think after the 28th day, is where you actually break $1 million. And then even then, it still goes up to another $5.3 million. Faithful and consistent over time, and you can be wealthy. The question is, do you want it now? Or do you want to have it wealth in the long term? Do you want to have a little bit now, or do you want to have even more over the long term? When we recognize that tomorrow matters, it will change what we do today. So start today. Okay, today's a new day, and if you're like me, you're kind of thinking, I don't know, is it too late? Is it too late? If I had done this when I was 20, maybe it would have made a difference. Is it too late? I like this quote. It says, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. If you didn't start then, start now. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to be a positive thing in the long run. I'm going to ask the worship team to come back up. And as they come up, I want to tell you the prayer I have for us as a church. My prayer is that we will all become incredible investors. But I want to explain what I mean by that idea of investing. Not just with money. The best investment Jesus ever made was in the men and women around him. 12 men and a number of women who were around him that followed him every day. And he invested his time and energy into them. And because of that, we are here today. That was his game plan. And so my prayer is that you become incredible investors in every way, that you get rich in every single way. My prayer is that you become rich in your marriage, that you invest in your marriage and become rich in the intimacy that comes with your marriage. My prayer is that you invest in your children, just like we talked about this morning with a baby dedication, that you are blessed with amazing kids, that you put your time and energy into them and understand that they belong to God and raise them the way they should be, so that years from now you can look back and say, my greatest joy is knowing that my children walk in the truth. My prayer is that we invest in friendships with each other and with others, so that we'll be rich in spiritual community, that we'll have friends that would lay down their lives for you just as you would for them. My prayer is that we invest in the church. We invest in Pine Ridge Family Church, that you realize that you don't just go to church, but you are the church, that you pour your time and energy and resources into Pine Ridge and find that it's making a difference in your life and in your community's life and in your kids' life and eventually around the world as well. And I also pray that you will steward your finances well, that you will steward your resources, recognizing that less is more, stress is bad, giving is good, and tomorrow matters. So if tomorrow matters, make a difference today.